Good evening to one and all. I'm Danya, student of D.G.Vaishnav College. I extend a warm welcome to all the participants for joining today's session, Primer on Capital Market and the Impact of COVID-19, hosted by the Department of Commerce Honors, D.G.Vaishnav College. I hope that the webinar would turn out to be informative and give you a different perspective about the capital market situation. Now I invite the head of the Department of BCom Honors to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Danya. Jai Shri Krishna. A very good evening to one and all. On behalf of the College Secretary Shri Ashok Kumar Mudraji, our Principal Dr. R. Ganesan, our Dean Dr. Shrikant, heads and faculties from various disciplines of Dwarka Das Govardhan Das Vaishnav College, I deem it a proud privilege to welcome each and every one of you for the national webinar Primer on Capital Market and the Impact of COVID-19. An optimist sees an opportunity in every calamity. A pessimist sees a calamity in every opportunity. Owing to the present pandemic situation, it's probably been one of the most worst disasters in the capital market. India's stock market capitalization ratio slipped to 58% of the country's GDP. It is much below than the long-term average of 75%. Keeping this in mind, we have decided to go with this theme for the webinar. I extend my sincere gratitude and welcome to the speaker, resource person, Mr. Ajit. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our proposal. In spite of his busy schedule, he accepted our proposal. Thank you so much, sir. I welcome you. I expect Mr. Ajit will definitely address not only the impact of COVID-19, but also you suggest various strategies to revive the economy. Thank you.
I take immense pleasure in providing an insight about the speaker's profile. Mr. Ajit carries a rich experience of 15 plus years in capital markets and financial services. During his career, he has associated with industry leaders like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, ING Investment, and handled various functions which include institutional sales and product management. He had a stint in entrepreneurship wherein he incubated a fintech startup which culminated in its successful transfer. He is a passionate trainer and his trainings are known for its analytical vigor and imparting conceptual clarity through its experimental learning. He is widely consulted in areas of product structuring, internal benchmarking for performance evaluation, and model portfolio construction. He holds a post-graduation diploma in business administration and is also certified by Chartered Institute for Securities and Investments. Over to you, sir.
All right. Good evening, everybody. And it's indeed a privilege to associate with an institute of repute like D.G.Vaishnav College. When the head of the department contacted me to have a seminar like this, I readily agreed. But after a couple of days, then she informed that the group is going to be a mix of students as well as people from the industry as well as from the faculty. Then I know that I'm going to be in a fix because one nightmare that every speaker or the trainer is having is to address a heterogeneous group. I kind of divided my today's presentation into two halves. So in the first part, we'll try to understand capital market structurally, and then we'll see how it will fit into the overall scheme of things. So that will be helpful for the student community. So many faculties and people from the industry who have logged in for this particular webinar, you might find it a little rudimentary. So excuse me for that, for the sake of all the young friends who have logged in for this particular seminar. All right, so let's straight away get into this subject that is Yep, capital markets primer and its impact, okay, because of the COVID-19 situation, what all of us are facing right now. Yeah, the first picture, or whenever we say capital market, the first thing which comes to everybody's mind is a picture of a bull and the stock ticks and the graphs and all those things. And we always equate capital market with stock market. So is capital market is same as stock market? Yeah, the answer is no. Capital market is not equivalent stock market. So where do we fit in this particular piece, okay, in the overall scheme of things? That's what the next question we will try to answer. All right. Yeah, all of you would have played this game, right? The jigsaw puzzle. And the jigsaw, it's an amazing game. But the problem with the jigsaw puzzle is it possible for you to complete a jigsaw game without knowing the full picture? So that way, let's try to understand capital market, understand its relevance, that small piece is relevance, and try to fit in the overall scheme of things. All right. Yeah. So the big picture that I'm going to present is the economic system. So let's see what happens in the economic system first. All right. So if you look at the economic system, there are two things which happens in the economic system. One you can call it's a production, another one is the consumption. And this is the basics of economics. Anybody who have studied economics, they all start with this production and consumption. And who produces? Of course, the producers. And how do they produce? They use the basic factors of production, the land, labor, and capital. And who provides these basic factors of production? It's provided by the individuals. And when individuals provides these basic factors of production, they need to be compensated with what you call a factor payment. The factor payment depends upon what factor of production which is being contributed. Say, for example, land, you have to pay rent, labor, you have to pay wage, and capital, you would be compensated with interest or dividend, depending upon what is the capital which is being contributed, whether it's an equity capital or a debt capital. And then for contributing these factors of production, how do we compensate these individuals? So individuals are compensated with the factor payment, and that is turned out to be the income for individuals. And if you see the economic system, it is the same income, it will be used for consumption. So that is what you call expenditure in the system. It is not very correct to say that, okay, expenditure in the economic system is what the individual spends, because if you look at the GDP, okay, the calculator of GDP, we have an expenditure approach in which you have the government expenditure and what the private investment, the net export, everything will come into that. Okay, so but this is just to present what happens at a very basic level in the economic system. Yeah. So if you see all the other three factors of production, out of which what is most important is capital. Because if you have capital, you can get resources in the economic system. So how is this capital is created within the economic system? To understand that, we need to understand another subsystem, another segment which is there in the economic system, which you call a financial system. And in a financial system, you have two types of entities. One is a saver, another one is a borrower. A saver is a person who receives that factors of payment, who have got income, and we spend that, and a little bit of money will remain with us. So saver is a person who has got a need to save, who has got surplus money and he doesn't have any need for that particular money, but he has got a need to save. And when he saves, he is looking basically for returns, safety, and liquidity. So this is what he is looking for, correct? And when a borrower borrows that money, where does he spend? If a corporate is borrowing or a government is borrowing, they will spend on something called capital expenditure, production basically. And if an individual borrows, they will spend on consumption. So financial system, it is this channel which transfer the money from the saver's end to the borrower's end. And this is a very important transaction which happens in the economic system. Because if money is not getting transferred, money which is a very important resource, if it is actually getting idled at the saver's end. If it is not getting transferred to somewhere where it has got a meaningful use, that resource is going to get idled. All right. Yeah. So how does this transfer actually happens in the financial system? Let's try to understand that first. Yeah. One way we know how it is getting transferred in the financial system through the banks. Okay. So bank act as an intermediary between the savers and the borrowers. And what's the bank's business? Banks accept deposit, and it is the same deposit which will be given as loans to the borrowers. This is one way of transferring money from savers to the borrowers in the financial system. And in the financial system, there is one more channel, that is what you call capital market. Okay, so in capital market, if you see, the borrowers are big companies, big corporations, and the governments, and they use securities or financial instruments like shares and bonds. Okay, and savers will subscribe to that. So the funds will move from savers end to the borrowers end. This is how the capital market works. So now you see, your capital market is going to be just a piece in the financial system. Okay, and then in Indian scenario, we have one more important cog within the system, that is NBFCs, non-banking finance companies. Considering the length and breadth of our country, in order to reach this lifeblood, which is finance, to the entire remotest arteries of the country, you need the support of NBFCs. Banks, with because of their inherent high cost operation structure, it won't be profitable for them to reach out to small farmers and some small dwellers who are in the remotest part of the country. That is where NBFCs have created a space for themselves. Their cost of funds will be higher, but yes, they have got because of their operation structure, a low cost operation structure, they can reach out to these masses, which are in the nook and corner of the country. So that way, NBFCs also plays a very important role in our economic system to transfer this money from the savers end to the borrowers end. Yeah. So now you see how important and what is the significance of this transaction. In every economy, people work, they will earn, they will have some property, they will rent it out, they will earn rent, and they have a need for saving. And imagine a economic system, imagine a financial system which doesn't have good banks, which doesn't have capital markets, which doesn't have stock markets. Where does people save their money? Yeah, the obvious choices would be, of course, gold and real estate. So these are called physical assets. The problem in saving with physical assets is there is no capital creation happens. Yeah, if you buy some gold, where does the reinvestment happening? If you invest in some real estate, there is no further investment which is happening from that, correct? So that being the case, basically your investment is going to, it's not going to get into a reinvestment process where capital is created like the way that we have seen in the capital market. So that is why even the governments wants to incentivize channelizing people saving into the financial assets, either a bank deposits or in equities or bonds or mutual funds kind of a structure. Yeah, so that it will contribute to nation building. Now you see, these borrowers are borrowing fund, and what do they do with that? As we have seen, they will kind of get into production and they will kind of expand their business. So basically, it will contribute to our GDP, gross domestic product. Our productivity is going up. And along with that, it will also generate employment, which is very important. India has got a growing population. So every year, millions of people are added to the job market, and we need to create job for all of them. So that way, this is a very important function which is happening in the economic system. And capital markets plays a very important role over there. Okay, so you know that the capital market structure, it has got a primary market and secondary market. Primary market is where the funds are raised, and the different methods which is adopted in the primary market are like your public issue of shares, and you have private placement. Public issue, you would have heard about IPOs, initial public offerings. Private placement is where the institutions offer their shares or the securities to a limited set of investors, usually financial institutions. So when an organization wants to raise capitals very quickly, they will go for private placements. And yeah, you would have rights issue. That is quite popular these days. There are plenty of companies which is coming out with their rights issue into the market right now. So wherein they want to raise capital from the existing shareholders. And then, yeah, secondary market is very important. For a thriving primary market, you need to have a successful secondary market. Why secondary market is required? Because we have seen that when a saver saves his money, the one important aspect that he looks for is liquidity. Okay, so whatever savings that he is having, whether it is in a bank deposit or something like an equity share or a bond, it is a financial asset, but it doesn't have a transactional value. And if he wants to convert it into something, okay, of some transactional value, he needs a secondary market. So the primary purpose of a secondary market is to provide that transactional support to the securities which is being issued in the primary market. Yeah, so stock exchanges represents that secondary market, and then you have their primary purpose is liquidity, as well as when you invest in a share, what's your objective? You want to buy a share at a low price and you want to sell it at a high price. We are looking for capital appreciation. So where does you realize your capital appreciation? Capital appreciation is also realized in the secondary market. Yeah, so for realizing capital appreciation, you need a secondary market. So these are mutually, or primary and secondary market, they are mutually complementary. As I said, if you want to have a very successful primary market wherein people has to raise capital, you need to have a thriving secondary market. So let's see how does it work. Let's say there is a company, okay, who wants to raise capital. What they will do, they will issue the securities to the investors, and then they will list their shares in the secondary market. That's the stock exchange. So like that, okay, in the economy, there are multiple companies who will raise capital from individuals and list their shares in the stock exchange. All right. And then let's assume that if one of the investors who have invested in company A's share and he wants to sell it, he cannot go back to the company. And for him to access liquidity, he has to put a sell order in the stock exchange. And when his sell order, once it gets matched with a buy order from the another counterparty, another investor in the market, that's when the transaction get executed. The seller will get his liquidity and a new investor comes into the picture. And then, yeah, if this investor wants to sell his shares, yeah, he will also put a sell order in the secondary market in the stock exchange, and his order will get matched with someone else's buy order. And it is through this order matching process, okay, transactions get executed in a stock exchange platform and transactions takes place. So this is how primarily a capital market structure looks like. And now when I say capital market, it is not confined only to the stock market, what we have seen. Stock market, which is a secondary market, that's not capital market. Capital market is an all-encompassing system which include your investors, which has stock exchanges, which has got brokers, which has got various investment banks. It has got sub-brokers, it has got depositories, it has got clearing agents, it has got custodians, it has got registrars, it has got credit rating agencies, mutual fund companies. I don't know whether I have left out anything. Okay, you have debt markets. So everything put together, the sum total of that is what you call a capital market. And we have seen the function that capital market has in the economic system. Yeah. So yeah, so normally I start all my presentations with this introduction because it is very important to understand this, okay, vital, okay, picture. Then only you will be able to appreciate, okay, whatever further inferences that you have to make from this. All right, now, coronavirus disease 2019, we know this as COVID-19. So all of us are going through an unprecedented situation. And nobody has this kind of a situation, at least in the last 100 years. So the obvious question is, what's next? What's going to be the impact of coronavirus disease? I really wish I have the answer to that question. I at least wish at least one person in this world has got an answer to this question. You ask the presidents, the prime ministers, the people who are supposed to take care of us, they don't have an answer to this question. Because as I said, this is something that we have not seen before. All right. So how this situation is going to transpire in the future. So that is what all of us are eager to understand. Because all the whatever it is going to be, the future, that will have a profound impact on us. Everybody is saying that, okay, the world is going to change. The way that we see the world and the way the people work, everything is going to change. All right. So let's see what happened. Okay. Based on the discussion that we had, how this situation is going to transpire. Let's just try to understand that. Yeah. What was the immediate response to this particular catastrophe? Yeah. The country went into a lockdown, which is unprecedented. Yeah. A country which has got almost 1.5 billion people. Yeah. The government advised all of us has to stay indoors, stay confined to our homes. Nobody's allowed to step out of our houses. So what is the result of this? Yeah, let me just bring back the previous picture, which what with respect to economic system, what we have seen. Let me just bring back that particular picture and then try and see how okay it is affecting that entire spectrum. So you have the producers. Okay, so nobody is stepping out of the house. So what is the result? The production is not happening. If the production doesn't happen, then it will affect the factor payment. People are unable to earn their living. All right. People are not earning, then what will happen? Demand in the system gets affected. So consumption doesn't happen. So now you have problem with respect to all the three segments in the economic system: production, individual's income, and the resultant consumption. Everything is getting affected. So when a banker sees this particular situation, what is the immediate thing which comes to his mind? Yeah, all of them, be it a producer or an individual or a retail shop, all of them will have debt, and they are going to default on the debt default. And this debt default is a serious thing for the economy. We have seen how important for the system to have liquidity. Finance is always referred as the lifeblood for the economic system. If that is drained out, then what will happen? Okay, we need to somehow infuse liquidity into the system. Otherwise, banks are going to be in trouble. The entire economic system is going to be in trouble. So now the entire question is how we can revive this entire process, how we can revive production, how we can revive consumption, and how we can incentivize people to spend more, and how banks can manage, or banks should manage this system wherein they are short of liquidity. And that's a very critical task for the banks. As you know, the bank's nature of business, yeah, they need liquidity. It is not just for lending. There are deposit holders and they need money. When they come to the bank and try to withdraw from the bank, and if they are unable to access their deposits, that's going to be a big problem for the entire economic system. Your economic system itself will come to a standstill. Yeah, companies are unable to borrow because banks doesn't have liquidity. If they are unable to borrow, what will happen? Yeah, they have to lay off some people because they are unable to pay salaries to the people. Now you see, because of this particular lockdown, our entire system is coming to a grinding halt. Yeah, so signs of it is already visible in the economic system. You can just have a look at this. This is the purchasing managers index. So this is an index which is made based on a survey, a set of questionnaires which is sent to the C-level executives in the industries. And the way to read this particular index is, if any reading which is more than 50, it is considered to be good. We are in safe zone. It means that, okay, there is some expansion, there is some incremental growth. So that is what a reading above 50 means. Though it was not very encouraging before January, yeah, we were growing in fact. But look at how it has plummeted. It has come to the rock bottom, okay, in the month of April. And it is not just a fall, We are quite far away from that particular benchmark, that is 50, which is the minimum requirement. Just see how much we are away from that. That's the kind of problem that we are facing right now. Look at industrial production. It has gone into a contraction. It has gone into a contraction of almost 16.7%. Yeah. Unemployment rate. Yeah, unemployment rate was under 10% before December. Jan, Feb also it was okay under 8%. Look at the April numbers. It has gone to 23.5%, which means that 1% out of 4 is unemployed in India. And that's a grave situation. All right. People doesn't have jobs. And that is reflecting in consumer confidence. This is a reflection wherein do they have confidence to spend their money, open the purses and spend? Okay, if they are not sure about their jobs, if they are not sure about whether tomorrow they would be able to get the salary, nobody will have the confidence to spend. Forget about borrowing and spending. That's what all of us do, right? If we need to purchase something, be it a car or an apartment, we borrow and then we spend. Even that is not going to happen. Even people who have got money, they are not willing to spend because they want to save. Because nobody knows how the situation is going to turn out in the future. So the consumer confidence, it has fallen down post-January. And reviving all those things are very critical to get a bounce back in the economic system. All right. Yeah. Look at the NPA impact, the non-performing assets of the banks. So this is where the major problem. Look at India. This is a comparison for the Asia Pacific countries. And then look how bad or how worst it has turned out for India. India's situation was not good even before COVID. Also, we had many instances of even banks going bankrupt, but the regulator doesn't want to say that the banks are bankrupt. So we have instances, cases of PMC banks, Yes Bank, all of them, okay, put under the watchship of the regulator. At least the deposit holders have not lost their money so far. They have got difficulty in accessing the money, but still the situation is not good, or it wasn't good even before COVID also. Now it has almost worsened. It has almost doubled. Okay, this is the cost of servicing those bad debts for the banks. They have to create provisions. If provisions are not created, we have seen how the banks work. They accept deposit and give loans. So if the loans are not coming back, they have to say sorry to the deposit holder. Just imagine a situation, you are going to a bank and you want to encash your fixed deposit and the bank is saying that we don't have money. If that needs to be avoided, banks has to create provisions for these bad loans. And from where do they create provision? Of course, from the profits. If profits are not sufficient, yeah, they have to bring in capital. So that is why the cost of servicing the debt for the banks have gone up. And we have to look at, okay, even deeper. And then only we will be able to understand the gravity of the issue. So previously, the benchmark for determining a non-performing assets was 3 months, which means that if a loan has not fetched interest or principal continuously for 3 months, for 90 days, the banks are going to classify that asset as an NPA. Now that period has been extended to 180. Okay, yeah, so these figures are after that. So then, yeah, you see how serious that particular problem. We have actually moved the meter. We have actually moved the meter for our benefit. But had the meter stayed at the previous level, then the situation would have been even worse. Yeah. Yeah. Forget about GDP growth rate. This is an old figure. Yeah. We were comfortably growing at 8.2%, which has fallen to 3.1% by February. And the latest estimate by RBI, we are going to experience contraction in the economy. We are going to contract by 1.5%. And that's something very serious, because a country like ours, which has got almost 1.7 billion of population. It is important for us to grow at certain rate. If you don't grow at that rate, then yeah, we will not create enough resources for our population. We will not create enough jobs for the people. So a growth rate, anything less than 7.5% or close to 7%, or anything below that one, that is not good for a country like India. And that is the requirement. And that is when we are growing at, we are not even growing, we are going to have negative growth. And this growth is expected to revive only by 2021. All right, expected, that's a hope. Yeah, I mean, when economists and people who are related with market, they are, if they have to discount the positivity, yeah, they will discount it faster. And they are always eternal optimist. The bad things strikes them only very late. You can see it in the market also. Yeah. So this is what the situation, this is how our economy got affected because of this pandemic. Forget about the market. Market is going to mimic what the broader economy is. This is how the Sensex, okay, has fallen. Look at the post-March 4. This is a fall of almost some 35. Okay, we were around 42,000 level. Yeah, so from there we have fallen by almost 38%, which is a huge fall. All right, yeah, and just see when this particular fall has started. Yeah, it is only by the Feb mid. That's when the market started kind of discounting this factor. But we know that there is something called Corona, there is something called COVID. Even during December itself, the first cases started reporting from December, and people know that okay, it is going to be a pandemic by January. But yeah, market started discounting that factor, okay, only quite late. In fact, that's what I said. Market will discount positive news much faster, but market will be late to discount the bad news. But once that happens, the fall is going to be this steep. That's why the market falls in situations like this are always steeper. You take 2007-8 crisis, the subprime crisis, the situation is more or less similar. It was not anything different. People know that there was some trouble in the making. It's going to be a bubble. And despite that, 2006 and the beginning of 2007, market was zooming. And when the market started falling, yeah, it was a sharp fall. The reason is like, yeah, market will discount bad news late, but when the discount happens, it's going to be a steep fall. Yeah, last 3-4 days has been good for the market, but that's not enough, because unless the broader economy revives, yeah, any market going up, it won't be sustainable. All right. So there are some concerns in the market, not just in the market, in our life generally. And what are concerns that I'm going to list out, it is not just related to the market or the economy. This is something that all of us are going to face. Okay, liquidity. We have seen liquidity is a very important requirement for a functioning economic system. We have seen that if that doesn't happen, resources will not be created. Resources will not get transferred. All right, for that you need liquidity. Yeah, and banks, NBFCs are a very important, okay, link in that one. They are an important cog in that particular system. NBFCs had trouble even before COVID also. Yeah, maybe you can blame it for the bad governance from them. Yeah, so those problems, it is not something like, no, this COVID and the problem because of the COVID, economy got affected all on a sudden. The COVID has just acted as a catalyst, that's it. But we had problem in the economic system even before also. We have seen the failure of IL&FS, DHFL. Post that, NBFCs had huge trouble in accessing funds. If NBFCs need fund, they immediately go to the commercial banks. They borrow from commercial banks. And commercial banks were reluctant to lend to NBFCs. If any of the NBFCs come to the capital market, try to issue some commercial paper or a certificate of deposit, yeah, they will not get subscription. Mutual funds are reluctant to invest in their papers because they know that, okay, their balance sheets are not good. and the business model of NBFCs are also it's a little tricky. So basically, they will take short-term loans and give long-term loans using that. And when the time to repay this loans comes, they will take another loans. All right. So this is by rolling over this loans, and then so that's how they kind of managed their business model. And yeah, we have understood the the problems of that business model in a situation like this, and that's when it will get reviewed. So liquidity is going to be a problem for the market. All right, and that's what the government is also trying to address. The government has come with a 20 lakh crore revival plan, and they have also come out with plans like putting equity infusions into MSMEs. We need to see how far these plans are going to succeed, because implementation is very critical for the success of these plans. But let's hope that there would be some kind of revival happens in the system. Next is revival of the construction sector. This is very critical for Indian economy. If you look at construction sector, they are the second biggest employer in the country after agriculture, and that's where the masses are employed. And reviving construction sector is a critical task, and at the same time it's difficult also, because even construction sector also had problems before COVID. Again, their problems also got accentuated with the COVID situation. And we have seen all these migrant workers, a good number of them would be construction workers. The government has said that, so the problem with reviving the construction sector in India is we have become increasingly informal as far as this sector is concerned. Normally what happens, at time advances, we will have some progression, but as far as construction sector is concerned, it has become increasingly informal with respect to time. You just see how the work gets done in the construction sector. You will have a project company, a big construction company, who secure contracts from the government and the private sector. They get contracts for constructing a highway, they get contract for building an airport. And what do they do with? They will give a subcontract, and then contractor will have a labor contractor, and he's the one who is going to get all these laborers who are going to work at the farther end of this particular sector. So nobody has got any information about them, nobody has got any records of them. Government doesn't have any record. That is why the government is unable to do something for the problem of these migrant workers, because they don't have a data, they don't have any records. Now the government has said that companies are not supposed to lay off people. So as far as a construction worker is concerned, who is his employer? Is it the project company, the subcontractor, or the labor contractor? Nobody wants to take responsibility for that. So that is why this migrant problem got so worst in our country. All right. Now how do we revive it? It's a huge capital intensive sector, and to get back all these construction workers, that's not going to be very easy. All right. Consumer confidence. We have seen how consumer confidence has plummeted. Reviving consumer confidence is very important to create demand in the system. Production alone is not going to solve the problem. You can address the supply side, but how about the demand side? We have seen the level of unemployment in the system. It's almost 25%. That's the level of unemployment in the system. So in that kind of a scenario, how we can revive consumer confidence, make them shop, make them purchase more, that is very critical for the system. There are some capital intense industry, say for example airline. What's going to be the future for that one? Airline, by its inherent nature, they are capital intensive operationally. Even if they don't do anything, they will bleed. Their finance will bleed. Okay, they will incur huge expenses for their MRO activities. Okay, yeah, maintenance and repairs and overall kind of activities. It's going to be a huge expenses for them. All right, and yeah, we have partially opened up the industry. What was the result? We don't have enough people to travel, and half of the people who have traveled, they got infected with the virus. And how many people take the risk to travel in airlines next time when they kind of run a flight? That's going to be the question. So to revive industries like that, that's going to be a huge trouble. That's going to be a huge struggle, in fact. And chances of a second wave of the pandemic. Yeah, we are yet to see any success as far as a vaccine is concerned. Even if we get some idea about a vaccine, it takes a lot of time to test it in the humans, understand its dosages requirement, and then we have to get into mass production. Okay, so there isn't any single country which is not got affected by this disease. Look at the scale of production which is required. Yeah, that is one thing. And in between, if the virus got mutated and if it gets even stronger, yeah, we got real trouble at hand. Yeah. And the geopolitical dynamics. All of us know what is happening at the border, what is happening between big economies. China as a country, they are not just a problem to India, they are a problem for every other country. They have got problem with US, they have got problem with UK because of Hong Kong, they have got problem with Europe. Yeah, so 3-4 years back, everybody was talking about globalization, open door policies. Okay, world has to become a single market. So that situation has changed now. Yeah, now the political system has moved more towards the right, and then everybody want to protect the national interest. But how far it is possible? So we have seen the benefits of globalization in the 90s. Okay, yeah, the basic economic theory also says that, correct? The comparative advantage. Yeah, resources should move to a location where there is comparative advantage. And in a restricted capital movement scenario, restricted resource movement scenario, how we can have comparative advantage? Yeah, you can have a comparative advantage, but your capital is not mobile, and your factors of production, the labor is not mobile. Okay, then you have a problem there. So geopolitical situations are not very conducive to bring back or kick back that particular growth in the system. All right, so I am kind of painting a very gloomy picture. Yeah, so I just want to see the reality and then see what we can do in this difficult situation. So it is important. Okay, there is one more thing, that is availability of essential. Yeah, I just forgot to mention that. I think so far the governments, both central as well as the state governments, manage this particular situation well. But in case if that gets worse because of the logistics problem, because of the productivity, we have just seen when Chennai's Coimbatore market has become the hotspot for the virus, there was huge queues in front of all the vegetable shops and retail outlets, supermarkets. People were hoarding these vegetables and the essentials. Okay, yeah. So and now we have a locust problem also. Nobody knows what is going to be the extent of damage because of that. If that is going to affect us bad, yeah, then we have a big problem at hand. Yeah, so despite this gloomy situation, yeah, we have to look beyond this crisis. That is very important, because as ma'am has said during the introduction, amidst all the crises, there will always be opportunities. And we have seen new opportunities emerging. I'll give you an example. You know about Alibaba, right? The Chinese company. Alibaba, they founded the company in 1999, and the company was really thriving. It was a B2B business, a business to business kind of a business. And by 2003, they have decided to get into the B2C segment, business to consumer segment. And that's the time a pandemic broke out in China, the SARS virus. You would have heard about it. Yeah, actually, Chinese people, this is something not very new to them. They have gone through it several times. Okay, yeah. So SARS has happened. So yeah, that was the time. Okay, the Alibaba, Jack Ma, and his team, they have set a deadline for launching their B2C business. And unfortunately, one of their employees also got infected with the virus. So because of that reason, office cannot function. So they sent everybody home, but they have allowed them to carry the work home as well, so they can work from home. And Jack Ma and a couple of his developers, they holed up in his apartment and worked on that application. And they could launch that B2C portal within that deadline itself. And that exactly was the time most of the Chinese customers, consumers, they got locked in their houses because of the virus. And the business flourished. And Alibaba become a $50 billion company only because, or that gives, this SARS virus has given the impetus for that. And we have also seen how the business dynamics have been changing because of this, okay, virus. So new opportunities will keep coming. All right. And now the more flattened world. The world is already flattened and it has become even more flattened. And this is enabled through technology. Yeah, there were pandemics even before also. The Spanish flu. But situations are quite different right now. All right. All of us are networked through technology. Yeah, I think now I'm speaking to all the students in D.G.Vaishnav College sitting at my home. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, how it would have happened? Maybe I would have traveled to your college, and then we will be having this particular seminar in your auditorium. Now see, yeah, it has become more convenient. Okay, I don't have to travel. Okay, it is a more flattened world that we are living in right now, and that's going to change the way we work. It has already changed. Yeah, in a week I used to have at least two client meetings, and it has been months now. Okay, I've actually shook hands with a client. Yeah, so that's how the things have changed. Yeah, and this is an opportunity, and I would say this is an opportunity for youngsters like you also. Okay, because hiring by companies are going to change. Maybe one of you can get hired by a big investment bank in New York. And how does it matter to them, okay, whether the guy is from Seattle or Chennai, if they are going to work from home? So that's the opportunity for you. So important thing is like you should upskill yourself with the relevant skill to take advantage of this opportunities. So skills are going to be of paramount importance. Okay. Yeah. So find out your space, what is your interest area, and try and see whether you can get some, okay, you can find some certification course on that one, because certification courses will help you to showcase your, what do you say, skill set. You can put it in your resume. You update your Naukri profiles with that certification. Yeah, searches will immediately land in your profile. Yeah, but important thing is like skill is very important. Yeah, because you are going to compete with, okay, people across the world, and it's a more leveled world, correct? In order to get access to this knowledge, it's not going to make a difference whether you are going to be in London, Paris, or New York, or in Chennai. So that is what the advantage of technology. Okay, even, yeah, most of the colleges have kind of moved into online platforms to deliver classes. And yeah, there are a lot of certification courses which is available there in the net as well. Okay, so that way it is important for especially the young friends who have logged in for this particular seminar to upskill themselves. Okay, and you also need a means to showcase your skills. Yeah, certification is the best thing for that. Yeah, freelancing is going to gain momentum. Companies have seen the problem of keeping a big payroll, because they cannot really sack them when this kind of a situation comes in. The government says that, okay, don't sack people. Yeah, that's trouble for the companies. Okay, yeah. So the endeavor of the companies going forward, it will be to, okay, maintain a thin payroll and hire as less people as possible, and just hire people only for their, okay, requirement. Give them job, give them work, let them finish the project, pay them fee, and they have a handshake and then leave them. That's it. Okay. Yep. So I mean, take my example itself. Okay, if anybody has to hire someone like me, okay, with 15 plus years of experience, we are not going to come cheap. All right, if we are going to be in the payroll of a company, but they can still make use of our skill sets, okay, as a freelancers. Yeah, so freelancing is going to be the norm for companies to get their work done, especially some, okay, areas uh, which require some special skills. All right. Yeah, I think it would be right on my part if I don't talk about the market. Okay, just talk about the economy. Okay, so market, does the market give any opportunities? For that, we need to understand the structure of the market, how the market is composed of. Yeah, our economy is comprises of multiple sectors, and there are sectors and there are businesses who can take advantage of this situation, the situation at our hand. Pharma companies are an obvious example. Everybody is worried about their health, and there are many pharma companies. Okay, they are into the, okay. I mean, they are looking for a vaccine for COVID, and if anybody is successful in what do you say, discovering something of that sort, yeah, it is advantages for them. Okay, and that stock price are going to zoom. Yeah, so that is actually getting reflected in the pharma company's share price movement. Most of the companies are better than what, okay, what it was before COVID-19. All right, FMCG companies, nobody's going to stop taking bath because of virus, right? We have, in fact, okay, increased our usage of hand washers and sanitizers and things like that. So there are companies like this which is going to get benefited out of this situation. All right, yeah, specialty chemicals. All right, a large cap any which ways they have recovered, but not to the extent what other companies are doing. So like this, there are pockets within the economic system which is going to get benefited from this situation. So look for such opportunities. When I share this concept, there these news, and this list, this is not an exhaustive list. I've not put everything into this particular slide. Uh, Look at digital companies. All right, yeah, digital companies, internet service providers, all of us are sitting at home. We are making use, we are making a lot of data, making use of lot of data. We are watching Netflix, Amazon, Hotstars. Yeah, so for, yeah, so digital companies, okay, internet service providers, they are going to get benefited out of this particular situation. Yeah, and then when I share these kind of investment ideas with my clients, or okay, the companies which I associated with, the immediate response is going to be, yeah, they are already run up, they are already overpriced. Is it the right time to get into these segments, these sectors? The answer to that question is, yeah, these companies have already run up, they are overpriced. Yeah, if that's the case, look for surrogates. For that, you need to look at the industry. Look at pharma companies. Okay, pharma companies are, okay, it's overpriced right now. Okay, your margin of safety is very low right now. Okay, it is that, which means that, okay, it is not very safe for you to enter into pharma companies right now. But there are API companies, API manufacturers, okay, active pharmaceutical ingredients. Okay, there are companies which are into contracted research and manufacturing. All right, so look for companies like that, companies who are into biosimilars. Look for companies like that, which is an ancillary to this one. All right, FMCGs. All right, look for the companies which makes the flavors and the fragrances for these FMCGs, for the FMCG products. All right, yeah, you might find opportunities there. Is logistic companies going to get benefited out of that one? Yeah, FMCG companies are started slowly, get into the production mode. They produce, and you have to take their products to the market. All right, maybe people start ordering products from their home. You have to take it to them. So you need logistic support for that. So does logistics companies benefit from that one? So like that, you need to read the situation and then look into your own life and see how our behavior have changed. And then, yeah, look for companies which is going to support that. Okay, you are using more internet now. Why don't we look at internet service provider as an investment opportunity? So that's the way that we need to look at this particular situation. All right, yeah. So this is a strategy. Okay, this is a strategy which has worked in the past. If you look at 2009, 8, 9, okay, your auto companies had a dream run because of this money which the governments have put into the hands of people. So there was a pay commission revisions and all those things. Auto stocks have just gone through the roof. So even at that situation also, everybody wants to get into auto companies. Yeah, same situation, overpriced auto stocks. Do we have opportunity there? Yes. Okay, we looked at auto components, okay, ancillary companies, and just see your focus should be on FI10 and FI11. Just look at the growth which has happened in between FI10 and FI11. Okay, the auto companies, they experienced that rise in share prices in 2008-9 period. All right, but growth in auto component parts, that came a year later. So looking at surrogates is an investment idea that can work. We can still look for such opportunities in the market. All right, yeah. So what the market has to offer now, the market is not a broad-based market. So previously, if you're a fund manager, your job is easier. You invest in any sector, any company, you are going to generate some return for the investors. So that situation is going to change now. Now, growth is going to get confined only to the pockets, some segments in the economic system, and identifying and understanding that segment is very important. And the market's leadership position has changed. If you look at our indices, Nifty, Sensex, financials were the dominant sector in these indices before COVID-19. Financials had a weightage of 50% plus, before COVID-19. That has changed right now. It's almost 30%. Financials weightage in the sector has become only 30% right now. Pharmas and digital companies together, it has overtaken. If you consider companies like Reliance as digital company, I mean, Reliance is a digital company now because of Jio. Yeah. And some of the asset classes and the investment choices that you are going to make, that is all right. You need to be very careful, and it is very difficult for a mutual fund manager to generate alpha now, or generate a return which is superior to the index. And maybe that used to be a sign of matured markets. That's what happened in America, because in America, index funds used to perform better than actively managed funds. And we are going to see similar kind of situation, not because of the reason that our market has become mature and broad-based, but the reason is fund managers have got a limitation. They have to replicate the index because their performance will always be benchmarked against an index. So at least the composition will be similar with respect to the sector weightage. So at least they have to match that composition in their investment portfolio. So that way, and now what we have seen is like the growth is not going to be broad-based. It is going to happen only in pockets, okay, in exclusive segments within the economic system. So you need to identify that segment. So maybe there could be situations where your individual stocks, all right, and a selected stocks, if you are an investor in that one, okay, you will be able to generate better returns. So asset classes and the investment choices like mutual funds, we need to have a relook at it. What it means is that I still believe that, okay, for a retail investor, the best way to get the benefit of equity investment is still mutual funds. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to scale down our return expectation. We have to moderate our return expectation. That is going to be, so if you are going to do a financial planning, okay, your return expectation has to be moderated. So that's what I'm just trying to say that. Okay, but otherwise, yeah, if you can afford the helps of some boutique wealth management companies and portfolio managers, yes, maybe that. So traditionally, PMS companies kind of lag behind mutual funds in performance as a basket. There are different reasons for that. I'm not getting into it, but still, maybe you will see a change of situations going forward because of the flexibility. Okay, this exclusive fund management style has, and the way the industry and the sector has transpired. So considering that, amidst all these problems, amidst all these gloomy situation, we have still opportunity. Even just look at the liquidity situation. We say that liquidity is a problem. Yes, it's a problem, but just see what is happening in the economy and with the companies. Reliance, one single company, they have raised almost 80,000 crore from 6 investors in a span of some 4 or 5 months, and they have kind of come out with a rights issuers. And rights issues are going to be the norm because companies have got a lot of pricing flexibility if it's a rights issue. All right, and investors also would be able to get, okay, their shares at a relatively lesser valuations. Yeah, so there are a lot of companies which is coming out with their rights issue. Reliance rights issue has been oversubscribed. So though I said that liquidity is a problem, yeah, so for a right business idea, a well-managed company, for them to access liquidity wouldn't be much of a problem. Tata Power is going to come. Future Retail is going to come, okay, with the rights issue. So now, yeah, so previously we never used to see these many rights issues happening in the market. Now there is a flurry of, okay, rights issues which is going to happen in the market. There are companies which is looking for buyback opportunities because share price have come down. Yeah, so buybacks are an excellent opportunity for investors to get a premium in the market. Yeah, so that way, yeah, there is liquidity in the market, but the important thing is, yeah, how we can provide liquidity at the consumer levels so that we can revive demand. So that's the reason why the governments have come out with, okay, financing MSME plan, and it's not just loan which they are planning to give. Government is going to partner with MSME, which means that they are looking for capital infusion, equity infusion into MSME. That's what a new package which they have announced. Government is going to invest some 10,000 crore and they are going to make a fund of 50,000 crore and going to float an alternative investment fund only to invest in MSME sector. So that measures, let's hope that, okay, it can bring some liquidity into the market and we will see the economy bouncing back. And I am a firm believer of human ability, and our endeavor will definitely see that, okay, we are kind of getting over this situation successfully. As somebody said that we are actually living through history. and this is history, and we are a part of it. It is not, unfortunately, it's not a war. Okay, it's not. It's a situation that we have to face. We have to tide over. All right, and it is this kind of difficult situation that results in the emergence of, if you look at the prehistoric period, okay, some of the great civilization have emerged, okay, as a result of these kind of difficulties. You look at the world wars, okay, what happened at world wars? Great nations has been, okay, created, okay, after the wars. Okay, towns and cities and the countries has been destroyed to the soil, but they have bounced back from there. All right, yeah, even you look at us. So we kind of, okay, shaken off the shackles of, okay, ages of oppression and occupations, and then in 70 years we built the biggest democracy in the world, a thriving democracy. All right, a functioning democracy. So this is our chance to create history and to get our country and the economy and get it, okay, back into the track. So for that, okay, all of us has got a role to play, and we need to, okay, make ourselves ready for that. So for that, as I said, upskilling is very important. So let's keep our eyes and ears open. More importantly, let's keep our mind open, because you might see some more difficulties in the future. So let's open to that, let's accept it and look for opportunities. And when you see the opportunities, strike it. And I'm sure that, okay, we all of us can, okay, get over this situation, and create a better scenario for all of us in the future. Yeah, so that is kind of, okay, I kind of concluding my presentation, and then if any kind of a question and answer kind of a session is planned, maybe we can have that. Okay, do you think Sensex and Nifty rebounding? And with respect to GDP, what do I think? With respect to GDP, I've already told. Expecting a contraction, and that's what RBI's that's what RBI's research also says. So we are going to experience a contraction in the GDP. We might see a contraction of almost 1.5%. And that's going to continue maybe till the end of 2021 financial year. And post that, yeah, we might have a growth of 7%. So basically your markets, broader markets, Sensex and Nifty, it should reflect the actual economy, the underlying economic system. So when the growth comes back, yeah, these markets are also going to, will capture that particular growth. So that way, if you see, I mean, if you look at markets like America, which has got a long history of capital markets, and they have seen and they have gone through all sort of situations, right from the recession of 1930 to 2007-8 recession. So the market has, okay, if you are a long-term investor, okay, yeah, the market is always okay, moving upward. But intermittently, yeah, we have what do you say? We have downfalls in the economy. That's the time that we have to stay invested, protect the downside, and maybe moving to sectors which are likely to get less impacted. And at the same time, amidst all these problems, okay, you can still spot opportunities in the market. And yeah, and then yeah, so that's the way I see it. But from an sector perspective, or from an index perspective, yeah, index will definitely reflect the prospects of the economy. and the expectation about economy is like it is likely to revive by 7% by next financial year. If that's the case, okay, yeah, your industry or the index is also is going to reflect the same. So in a present situation, investment in mutual fund advisable? Yes, as I said, for a retail investor, mutual funds are still the best option available to them, because I generally don't advise anybody to get into the equity market directly if they don't have enough experience. Otherwise, okay, they should be able to afford the support of some boutique wealth management companies, portfolio management companies, and yeah, so that way you should keep still, okay, invest in mutual fund. All I have said is, yeah, we have to moderate our return expectations, and on a relative basis, there can be some select sectors, okay, within the economy, and you find better growth there, and that's not for everybody. Okay, this is to just to give a market perspective. I've just given that. See, SIP as an investment strategy, it has my advice is, the strategy itself is kind of work in such a way that it should be able to take advantage of the ups and downs of the market. So there is only one rule when it comes to equity investment: invest for the long term. Don't look at equities for the short term. And from that perspective, okay, if you are planning for your retirement and your retirement is something like 7 years ahead, 10 years ahead, yeah, please continue do your SIPs, because these situations are not going to linger. It's going to change. And whatever investment that you are going to do right now, it is going to fetch you, okay, more number of units. And that is where the success of SIPs are. And that more number of units which you are acquiring at low prices, at lower unit prices, that will bring down your weighted average acquisition cost. And when the market revives, you can capture the growth of the market in more number of units. And that's how that particular process works. Okay, how about gold as an investment choice? I'm not an expert on gold, so I rather pass that question. But having said that, from an asset allocation perspective, it is not wrong to have gold as an investment choice. And gold, traditionally, or as they say, okay, it is a good hedge against inflation. But frankly speaking, I don't like that investment. Okay, I've told you the reasons also. Okay, so if somebody invests in gold, yeah, the money is not actually channelized into our financial system. Capital creation is not happening. Yeah, you have other investment choices also in the market, okay, which can maybe give good like return. Many of your fixed income products can give you that kind of return, though fixed income as an asset class, yeah, you can even look at your simple bank fixed deposits. But yeah, from an asset allocation perspective, yeah, it is okay to have gold in your investment portfolio. Is it the right time to buy units of Yes Bank? I'm sorry, I cannot comment on individual stocks on a platform like this. Yeah, I'm bound by certain non-disclosure agreements, and besides that, I don't want to get into any kind of a regulatory troubles. So I cannot comment on individual stocks. Yeah. Long-term equity fund in long-term equity fund in mutual funds are advisable to invest. See, from an equity asset allocation perspective, yeah, I have already told, yeah, what I've told about mutual funds, it's applicable to, okay, yeah, all sorts of equity fund, whether it is a diversified equity fund or a multi-cap fund, Okay, you can still invest, but what I said is, don't get me wrong. Okay, your return expectation from mutual funds need to be moderated, and at the same time, okay, there are other potential opportunity which you can find in the market. Yeah, so that is what all I meant. What would be the impact of universal basic income, which has now grown an important driving factor raised by top business person, and its impact on GDP and market? See, the universal basic income, any money which is put in the hands of people, that is going to have a profound impact on the economic system as such, because driving demand is very important, and that exactly is the reason why the government has come out with plans with this employment guarantee schemes, or your what is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee schemes and stuffs like that. So for yeah, so if you want to revive, okay, the economy, you need to put money in the hands of people also. But rather than giving money freely, okay, as the economists say that there is no free lunch, giving money for not doing anything, that's not, again, not idle. So you have to look for okay, some way in which you can compensate people by making them productive. Yeah, from that perspective, yes, okay, I'm not for giving money freely to people. Get something productive from them, and then yeah, yeah, you can make payments to them. There are FMCG companies who have made announcement that they are not getting enough people to work. They are ready to reopen, but they are not getting enough people to work in their manufacturing facilities. They are looking for people. Yeah, maybe through MR and EGA, you can okay, provide people to FMCG companies, right? So you need to look for options like that rather than okay, giving free lunch to people. Other than CFA and Chartered Financial Planner, is there any course available about finance and investment advisory? Yeah, there are a lot of okay, programs which is available. I mean, you can look for, okay, there are okay, you can get into even specialized areas in financial services. You can look for something like FRM. There are programs on financial risk management. Okay, there are certifications which is given for compliance training. Okay, so like that, there are many programs which is available. CFA is a okay, good choice. CFA, it is a universally valid degree. Okay, it's an okay, it has got a value, and it covers a much wider spectrum of the financial services. And this CFA is considered as the gold standard for your finance degrees. But so it's still a question that how they are going to conduct their exams, that need to be seen. Yeah, because the preparing for CFAs takes a lot of effort, and yeah, they have already cancelled their exams for the June period. December, nobody knows what's going to happen. And they are also, yeah, one important thing is like they are also not willing to refund people who are not taking the exam. So you have to look for such things, and then yeah. But even otherwise, also you will find a lot of certification programs in the domain, like FRM. As I said, you can look at that. How can we apply and know about the FMCG companies which are providing employment? Oh, okay. My comment is based on a news article which has come. Otherwise, if you ask me, okay, how we can find job posting by FMCG companies, I really don't know. Yeah. So what's your view on sovereign gold bonds? See, sovereign gold bonds, it's a good initiative from the government because, as I said, even government wants to, channelize people's money saving. They want to divert it from physical assets like gold to financial assets. So that way, yes, I support sovereign gold bonds. And gold as an asset class, it used to perform when the other asset classes are not performing. Recently, we have seen a run up on gold prices, and then it started trending downwards. But still, as an asset allocation perspective, rather than investing in physical gold, it would be more prudent to buy sovereign gold bonds, which is issued by the government. So, do you expect a V-shaped recovery in India post-COVID? So everybody is predicting I mean, they are using all sorts of alphabet to comment on the recovery. People are talking about V-shaped, and then they said that it's not going to be a V-shaped, it's going to be a Nike swish, all right, which means that it's not exactly V, but there is a little slant. And some people say that, okay, it's a U-shaped recovery. So good that nobody is using an Indian alphabet, because most of the Indian alphabet has got a resistance level, right? We put a line on the top. So that way, yeah, it's lucky that nobody is using that. But I don't think that's going to be a V-shaped recovery. Okay, so V-shaped recovery has got its problems also. But recovery will happen, but it's going to take time. Okay, it's going to take time because, as I said, first of all, the recovery should reflect the real economy. I have already said that if you look at the GDP, okay, GDP has actually contracted. And then we have to see signs of revival in the economy. And that visibility is not there as of now. How it is going to recover? And so unless investors get an idea about what is the kind of free cash flow that people can generate, we cannot take a call on that one. Recovery will happen, but that's not going to be a V-shaped sudden recovery. That's not what we are going to see. Why governments are not banning P notes? Because we all know that participatory note is a tool for hedge funds. See, hedge funds as such is not bad. Only thing is, like, their style of investment, it may not be suitable for everybody. That being the case, they don't accept everybody's investors also. They say that they will accept only the accredited investors' investment. And P notes are very critical for India to get foreign institutional investors' money. And this inflow from foreign institutional investors is very critical for a country like India. It will help us to manage our current account deficits. India is not a country which does a lot of exports. Our net export is always negative, which means that we have to make a lot of imports. And how do we get the foreign currency for that? That has to mainly come in the form of foreign direct investments as well as the FII inflows. So the money which comes through this foreign institutional investors, it need not necessarily be a bad money. It is helpful for the economy because that's how we maintain or manage our balance of payment situations. As I said, India is not an export surplus country. And to support our imports, we need foreign currency inflow. And that a major chunk of it should come in the form of FII investment. So, but the problem with P note is you cannot really attribute who is the actual beneficiary owner of that particular investment. That's the problem with peanuts. So to address that problem, I don't think that it is an outright banning of peanuts is going to help us. All right. So we need to have more disclosure mechanisms, and then we need to have some mechanism wherein we can actually trace back the actual beneficiary owners who make use of this particular peanuts. How the migrant laborers' livelihood can be improved. What is the system that can be used to recover the capital market? Yeah, I really wish I have the answer for that question. And first is, I'm not in that kind of a stature to answer this question. This is a question which need to be addressed by the Minister of Finance and people like that. But still, okay, let's see how we can revive the migrant laborers' situations. All right, we need to understand what exactly is their problem. One is like their problem is getting back to their village, or their problem is not able to find jobs where they are staying. I think it is more to do with finding jobs where they are. If they can find jobs, they don't have any need to go to their villages. So that being the case, as I said, you can look at these employment guarantee schemes, which is this minimum employment guarantee schemes, which is announced by the government to revive their situation. But as I said, the problem is the government doesn't have a data of these migrant workers. Sometimes, okay, there can be a situation where a good chunk of them could be Bangladeshis also. Okay, not necessarily that all the migrant workers are Indian citizens. So that's the what do you say, scale of lack of data, that scale of problem that we are having. We don't have much data on these migrant workers unless we know the what do you say, the intensity or the gravity of the problem, how we can address it. Yeah, I don't see any more questions. So I think that with that, I think we can conclude. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for taking your time and joining for this webinar. I really appreciate this opportunity, and all of you stay well and stay positive. Thank you once again.
So thank you so much, sir, for the lucid presentation. So I have noted some points. Thank you so much for the various reviving strategy, number one. And number two, so now we know where we need to excel by upskilling our knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, thank you so much for accepting our proposal in a short span. So, thanks.